and God gives massive power, right? That's why it's so confrontational. I say God, everybody wants to see and hear God in the way that they want to see and hear God. I'm not here to give you God the way you want to see God. I'm going to give God the way God told me to give God. And if it gets me less likes and followers, it's not going to deter me or change the way I feel about God. So I worship the mirror. I worship the reflection. I worship who I'm resembling on a regular. I perform God. I don't speak commandments. I walk commandments through virtuousness, God, faith, honor, loyalty. I work hard to fight against jealousy and envy and rage and anger and coveting. I work hard to fight against seduction and temptation. What you might call the devil, you think somehow has some horns somewhere and is going to burn you. Whatever. If it keeps you straight, cool. But my God doesn't scare me into faith. It just doesn't. He didn't give me a statue. That painting, it was the function. He gave me consciousness. And every time I override fear, every time I choose peace over reaction, every time I speak truth when silence would keep me liked, I see his face. I see his face in the positivity. I see his face in the expansion of God, in the conversation of God, in the promotion of finding the inner peace that comes with God. I see his face in love. So if my version prompts you to fight your version and show that you love God more than me, mission accomplished. I'm not even here to win or be right. How do I win or be right? I'm not here for none of that. But I speak truth when silence would otherwise keep me like. I've learned that through consciousness as well. Why? Because when I don't speak my truth, I build somebody else's truth. I live somebody else's life. I am a creator in somebody else's creation. I'm good. The only creator I need to be in the realm of creation is in the image of God. That's consciousness. That's choice. That's obedience. That's surrender. That's submission. Those are the laws of the universe. Those are the laws of faith. When I talk about do you rules, when I talk about being who I am, when I talk about worshiping God. Even a lot of those words, I had to relearn what it meant to worship and surrender and pray and release and give God autonomy over my life. Why? Because of how I was raised. The biggest infraction to me when I read the book, very early, it was during the flood, and it was also during Moses when he was going through the transition and was actually writing the commandments on the tablets, right? God twice apparently wanted to wipe out his creation. Why would God do that? Why would God give free will then judge? I don't get it. Never correlated. Never registered in my brain that way. Now we're gonna the typical debate is in why if God is, why does God allow all these negative things? I don't have all the exact answers the way I can't tell you exactly what God is, but free will. Free will. God has to accept with great grace. You know the type of grace and patience and love God has to have to allow evil? But that's his, in my opinion, that is his guarantee. Free will, consciousness. It doesn't all terminate on good terms. But also in that way, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to see it, how would you know otherwise? How would you know which side the pendulum is on? Hate is the protector of love. We talked about that before. So we have to experience a little bit of evil, a little bit of downtroddenness, a little bit of self-doubt, anxiety, stress. We have to face obstacles. How else will we know to come out on the other side? How would we know to consciously create abundance? How would we have evolved as people? I talked just recently about the dominance of the church and the illiteracy that persisted and permeated in generations that well precede us. So much so that you wouldn't even probably do research on it. Imagine a world of illiterate people, which likely meant they couldn't create for themselves in greater capacity. Their consciousness was limited, diluted. And yet now we're full of abundance and we find ourselves in a conscious stasis, still fighting over the same type of God that likely limited and restricted us generations ago. Fear derived consciousness. Imagine that God, the infinite, the creator, could put fear into you and instill fear into you. So I don't believe God gave us a face. He gave us a function. That function, again, is consciousness. You can reflect. You can consider past, present, future. You can reflect. You can choose. You can choose. Oh, I could say it again. You can choose. You can choose to override the glitch. You can choose to see the virus and delete it. You want to talk about baseline fundamentals of how we're built genetically in our code, in our biology, in our neurology. Most people are living like animals with phone. Everybody has consciousness. Everything has consciousness. But fundamentally, the fear, the survival, you're just hungry and trained, clicking for stimulation. Forgetting that what separates man from beast is consciousness. And what separates the saved from the stuck is how often you access it. Consciousness is the proof that you are not your trauma. It's the proof that survival is not your ceiling. It's the proof that God didn't leave you. He left himself inside you. Why do we fall in love with those possibilities when people feed us the return to home, the return to inner love? That's God inside of you. Why do so many practices ask you to close your eyes and tap in? God left himself inside of you. Why is it you light up on the inside when something goes your way? Why is it you light up on the inside when you bring yourself to gratitude? When you bring yourself to the consciousness of the blessings you have? He left himself inside you. How do you recreate for yourself? You've already created. You go back inside of you. Consciousness. God left himself inside of you, inside of all, inside of everywhere, inside of you everywhere. God resides everywhere. Let me be somewhat relatable. When I started waking up at 3, it was 4. Now it's 3, right? I found that also, if you care in any capacity, I did read that at one time, 3 a.m. was like a spiritual hour. Apparently, a lot of the work that Jesus did was around this time. I think when was it Abraham that wrestled with God was around this time. A lot of what occurs spiritually when it comes to God and some of the teachings. Now, you might find this conflicting and contradictory. I look at the power of the teachings as far as I do believe the book is man-made, but man had to interpret that. There's a power to interpretation. There's wisdom in that. It's a book that has been sold billions of times, has changed generations. I can't neglect that fact. And there are some beautiful blessings in there if you take the time to interpret it in your own way. The waking up at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. was deeper than a self-help sort of subscription model or influential routine, although I believe deeply in it. But it helped me stop drinking. When I was knee deep in alcoholism, I would stay up to 1, 2, 3 in the morning drinking. So I said to myself, yo, how do I stop drinking? I usually start drinking at 9 o'clock. I probably want to be asleep at that time. That was the easiest way for me to get over it. Go to sleep when you would usually drink. So how do I go to sleep earlier? I wake up earlier. If I'm gonna wake up earlier, what do I gotta do? I should work on myself. What's a good thing to do when you wake up early? Pray. Pray, because it's hard to transition into consciousness when you've been unconscious for so long. It is very hard to enlighten yourself when you've been asleep. It's very hard to awaken. And once you see, you can't unsee. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop running from my responsibilities. I need to take more accountability. I need to level up. I need to really have faith. I need to say what I mean only. I need to do what I say. I need to be conscious. I need to understand how consciousness works, how it invites my spirit to rise, how it aligns me deeper and deeper with God. I need to understand what God is. How do you do those things? You go quiet, you go silent. I need to realize that I need to learn how to be silent. You know, these things are sold in ways that I believe the intentionality around it, if you do it properly, it'll help you. But properly means you got to understand what your outcome needs to be. What are you trying to do? You go silent, you'll find out quick what you're trying to do. One of the things that I wanted to share as far as consciousness and what I believe God said to me the other day was this: I'm everywhere that you need me to be, exactly how you see me. But I also, in that same way, learned as soon as I try to think of what God is and where he's at, I need to dissolve that because I limit it. But God is like, yo, you want to create heaven on earth right here? I'll be there for you. You want to create a man in the sky? I'll do that for you too. Because why? You've already convinced yourself that's what God is. God is not going to reject you. All right, cool. You want me to be in the sky? I'll be in the sky for you. You want me to be in a bottle? I'll be in a bottle for you. So when I stopped being a slave to the dopamine drip without even realizing that I was on a dopamine drip trip, the biggest thing too, fundamentally, I learned through fundamentals. It could be my background that I'm in information technology. But when I know the inner workings, like I don't like to follow directions when I buy something I need to build, but I know the directions will tell me the right things to do. I don't like to listen to people's opinions because I find people to be so flawed. Why? Because I'm flawed. That might be an inner insecurity of mine. But I understand too that when I'm listening to somebody, it's just their interpretation. And based on, I don't know how you came to that level of interpretation. I don't know how you came to that level of understanding. I don't know the exposure you've had, and that's big. Exposure is everything. So when I start to listen, read, or get logic that is sound and validated, it helps me understand. So not only did I want to stop drinking, so I started to go to sleep when I used to drink, I learned what drinking does. And the dopamine drip is very similar. So drinking, if you didn't realize it, and maybe it's like, duh, it was not very obvious to me. When you ingest the alcohol, it sends chemicals to your brain that you can't produce on your own, thereby causing you to be addicted to something that you can't produce naturally. So consciously, now your mind is like, yo, I want this pleasure trip. I can't find that chemical. You got to bring it back to me. That's how you get addicted. That's also how you get hungover. Why? The chemical now releases from your body. It's not there. It's looking to put itself back into your brain and give you the pleasure. Your brain is like, yo, I can't pleasure you. We want to be pleasured. I can't find this. Give it to me. Then I started applying that to the binging of Netflix, the laziness. You don't realize you're addicted to being lazy. Why? It sends pleasure to you. That's how you can be addicted to working out. That's how you can be addicted to reading, writing, praying, meditating. You do it often enough, your brain starts to look for it. Except in this way, my opinion, the way I found God through consciousness, is natural. I can always find God in me. I can always stimulate myself with love. Love is always inside of me. I can also stimulate myself with hate and anger and frustration. That's inside of me too. I have control over that. That's my dopamine drip. You learn these things. You apply these things. You practice these things. You realize I didn't come to meet a bearded man in a robe. I didn't need a physical image. I didn't need a painting. I didn't need a Last Supper. I needed the fundamentals. I met silence. And you go silence, and my silence spoke louder than any preacher, any teacher, any doctrine, any scripture. That's when I knew God was never hiding. And God doesn't hide, always available. It's me who was buried. I was buried. And guess what the shovel was? Consciousness. Consciousness is the shovel. You're either digging and creating and expanding the hole so you can go deeper and deeper and deeper, thereby creating a higher elevation point. You know, think of it like that, right? Sometimes you got to go deep and dark before you can raise up high, or you can just bury yourself. You want to create distance and space, or you want to create a hole that you go into and never come out. So every day I got to dig. Every day I dig. Every second that I can be conscious, I'm conscious. In reflection, in obedience, in presence. I talk about presence. What a beautiful day yesterday. God bless all fathers. God bless all mothers. God bless all people. You want to know what I did for Father's Day? The same thing I do every single day. It's just in between that, I got a card, a couple of gifts, and some brownies. You know what I mean? We still woke up the same way. We had breakfast the same way. We were speaking and engaged the same way. Father's Day is every day for me. God is every day for me. I don't wait for Sundays. I don't wait for church. I don't wait for meetings. I don't wait for circles. I don't wait for a teacher, a pastor. I don't wait for none of that. It's all the time. Conscious. I'm present. I'm available. I went out to hoop with my son. I had a separate little conversation with my daughter. Then I had some time with my son and my daughter. I had some alone time with my wife. I had togetherness with all of us. I do it every single day. What do you want for Father's Day? The same exact day I have every single day. I recorded a live. I posted a short. I posted a community post. I responded to some comments. I don't change. I had to learn that. I'm conscious all the time. That's God. God gave me that. And now you look at the space, right? You don't want to tie God to it. They tell you you got to behave as the business owner. You got to behave in that body. You got to behave as the person who got that promotion, got that degree ahead of time. What's the difference? I've already behaved this way over and over and over. It's consciousness. So when you click like, subscribe, and you follow and you scroll and you get hooked on somebody's self-improvement feed, that's all they're telling you to do. It's just you haven't learned how to separate and delineate from being your own teacher. I talk about that word, right? Autodidactic. That's why you can't find your own God. You got to rely on somebody else's God. Then you get mad when somebody questions your God. You don't even know your God, and you want to question somebody else about God. You know what? Yeah, you want to question me about God, but you don't even know. You don't even spend time with God. I don't got time for your non-God time to conflict with my God time. That's also why I only go but so far. I'm not here to fight you. Not here to fight you. I've already got consciousness. I've got consciousness, and it's louder than thunder when your spirit is still. I'm on 1,000 all day. I'm on 1,000 all day. I'm on God all day, even when it hurts. I'm on God all the time, even when I don't get what I want. I'm on God all the time, even when it doesn't appear to be working out. I'm on God all the time when I got a leak in the house. I'm on God all the time when I have a difficult conversation with my 15-year-old, with my 12-year-old. I'm on God all the time when 25 years of relationship, 17 years of marriage gets a little tight. There's a little bit of tension. I'm on God all the time when a 9 to 5 is looking a little shaky. I don't bend. I don't stress over the emotion. I confront the obstacle, man. You want to fight me about God? Cool. You want to fight me about consciousness? Cool. I already understand. You are as right as you will always be. It's not for me to convince you. You've already convinced yourself. And guess what? The moment that matter of fact, it's not even you. Once I align and understand, oh, you're already convinced. That is God. That is consciousness. In my way, I won that. Why? Because God won. You think I'm trying to win just solely for me? I'm good. God always wins. I'm just hopeful that you're conscious of your consciousness. If you're conscious of your consciousness, I don't care how you spell God. You can spell it backwards. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you pray, where you sit, where you go. If God is winning, I'm winning. So for me, it comes down to stop asking what God looks like. Start showing me, better yet, start showing you what your consciousness is tuned into. Because that's the only image God ever gave you. Not the art, not the church, not the fear-based checklist. Consciousness. Consciousness is how God coded dominion. It is your ability to author, to script chapter and verse, not just to survive, man. Animals react. The image creates. So if you still blaming the world, or you still mad at me because of how I flow with God, still chasing blessings without obedience, still pretending to pray while scrolling for proof, and you ain't conscious, you're just awake. And that ain't even close to being the same. You own it or be owned by it. You either run the system or the system runs you. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.